Is the institution of the Catholic Church what Jesus had in mind? Firstly, I want to make it very clear that I am not speaking of the deposit of faith, but the governing bureaucracy of our church. And secondly, I define a Catholic as someone who believes in, defends, propagates, and lives the deposit of faith, a person void of Pharisaical duplicity. When one studies the Acts of the Apostles and the writings of the early church fathers, one gets a very clear idea of what the early church looks like and how it functions. It is made up of many small groups who study the deposit of faith Christ has left them. They celebrate the Eucharist, confess their sins, and they pool their resources to meet the needs of others less fortunate. As the church grew, men brought with them their fallen nature. Some lusted for power, prestige, and influence over others. In short, we can say they brought their sins with them. The sins of pride in all its forms became part of the church fabric. It would be this way regardless of the size of the particular church. However, I think the bigger the better applies here. Are we not more susceptible to sinning for a larger prize? We can see throughout church history scandals, financial and moral, and others that have plagued the church and its mission. In the early church, people knew each other well and most likely were true to each other in their human relationships. They were a faith community that was tied together not only by beliefs but by their personal relationships in their daily lives. In the early church, people did charity directly in their immediate area. They did not give it to a bishop to help others in a far off land. Does this sound like the church you attend? The institution of the Catholic Church is destroying itself from within. Firstly, through moral decay, not only by the sexual scandals rocking the hierarchy, but by the laity who support abortion, same sex partners, and contraception, even believing they are correct to determine if what was a sin 2,000 years, for 2,000 years, is a sin in their circumstances. Secondly, Pope Francis is destroying the deposit of faith and remaking Catholicism into his own image of what he desires. There are few good and true Catholics left in the world, the ones who have remained true to Christ. I believe that Jesus Christ will expose the institution of the Catholic Church for what it is, that being a man made institution created to serve itself and the sins of its bureaucrats. Let us hope and work for the true church Christ intended for us to be part of, small, intimate, loving, and charitable, focused on praising and worshiping God in thought, word, and deed.